Call to order the Oconee County Public Library Board of Trustees meeting. Today is Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. We have a quorum, so I'd like to begin with making a motion to amend the agenda for tonight to include an invocation at the beginning. A second. Okay, we vote. Aye. Okay. Judy, can you give the invocation, please?
Yes, let us pray. Father God, we thank you for the blessings that you give us each day. Thankful for everyone that has made it here tonight. We ask that you grant us clarity of thought and unity of purpose and wisdom in each of our decisions. May we always be guided in your truth and actions to reflect your will. Lord Father God, we lift up the employees and volunteers of the Oconee County Public Libraries. We thank you for each one. We continue to ask that you strengthen them and guide them for the best libraries that they can be, Father God. We ask that you bless each one here with strength and understanding, and ask all of this in your Father, in your name. Amen.
Okay, next is the approval.
Is that in the second is K?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, next is the approval of minutes from July 22nd. Does anyone have any items to edit or delete? Get a motion to approve? Second?
Take who you want.
Okay. And the minutes are approved from the July,
Hold on, I got different hands. Who's the motion, is the second?
Kay and then Judy. So the approval of minutes for July 22nd. We have to take a vote, actually. Take a vote to approve minutes. Any against? Next is public comment, limited to 4 minutes per person, 30 minutes in total. You have anything?
Carry on.
All right, moving forward, board member comments. Does anyone have anything?
I have something. Okay, I recently volunteered to be liaison to Friends of the Library. So I went to a meeting, I want to say it was about 2 weeks ago. What a great group. They are so organized and very meticulous in their reports, their treasurer's report, everything. But I asked them, I said, what can we do for you? Because they do so much for us. The finances they bring in, I think they said they have like 300 volunteers in their group.
Wow.
So I was really impressed. Okay, so they said 2 things. Okay, the first thing is the ramp that they push the carts of books when donations come in. They said it's really hard to push the books up the ramp. So I was trying to get an understanding of what they were talking about, but they said it's just really hard to do. And they said that they had approached, I think they talked to Blair about it, and he talked to Kyle in Roads and Bridges, and he came and looked at it, but he wasn't really sure what the problem was. So I talked to Blair about it again today, and he said he's going to look into it some more, because he said it's just really hard to push those carts up.
See about that little lump there?
Yeah.
Okay, so I actually called the council on that, and they
Okay.
said they think it may be something to do with flooding.
Yeah.
That if they remove that water could possibly get in. So I think maintenance has to take a look at it.
Yeah, but we talked about it today, and I was suggesting that Kyle from Roads and Bridges come and talk to Stephanie to see what the actual problem is, because when he came and looked at it, Stephanie wasn't there. So, she couldn't really speak to what the issue was, but for me, anything that's a hardship for these people, they work so hard. And pushing those carts up, and they're as old as we all are, so, okay. So that was one thing I talked to Blair about, and he said he'd look into it again. Second thing was, in their workroom, they only have 1 electrical outlet. So they've asked for 3 more because in the summer, it's so hot down there. I don't know if you guys have been, but I purposely don't go to the book sales in the summer because it is so hot. and they would like to have 3 more. So they've put in a request to have 3 more electric outlets. I know Blair and I have talked about it, and he said he's approached buildings about it. They just haven't gotten to it, so they can have more fans. I mean, if you guys go down there, it is just, it's terrible. It's so hot. So those were the only 2 things, but they said they really would like that. And I feel like everything they do for us, they seem like small things. We should support them and get that done.
I agree.
So,
Hopefully. Didn't we look into a cart with big wheels to make it easier to get over that too?
Yeah.
I think,
I mean, this is kind of been an ongoing thing for a little while, and I mean, it's involved Mr. Reed, it's involved Ms. Brock, it's involved, several different people. So, as well, because of the way that it's laid out and everything, there's really not anything that he nor Ms. Brock thought could be changed, so I suggested to them about getting a different card, but I don't know if they don't have space for another card, and they got 50 of them down there, so I'm not sure if, they don't wanna just trade out for one, or if they like using those book trucks, which weren't really designed to go outside anyway, but they use them. So, I mean, I'm sure we can retrofit something or make something that's gonna be a whole lot cheaper than redoing the pavement out there, but, it
Let's
just
make them happy.
requires it requires some negotiation.
anybody else have anything? Okay, let's move on to the chair's report, which, sorry, that's me this week, okay. I wanted to thank all the staff and volunteers for their hard work on summer reading. Kay and I went out there, it was fantastic. And that would include the volunteers and the staff, and also the Oconee County Sheriff's Office, Parks and Recreation, and all the Friends volunteers. They did a great job handing out the books that the library bought. Can't wait to have grandchildren so I can pick some up. And that's it for chair report. We'll move on to the director's report.
Was there anything else? There was a Friends report.
Oh, sorry, I skipped ahead. Yep, the Friends report. So, do we have a Friends report?
All right, Friends report, unfortunately, they are in some transition right now in terms of their leadership. Nancy Churchwell, who is the treasurer of the Friends, is relocating, and they have been in the process of seeking and trying to train a new treasurer, which that's, as you've mentioned, given what they raised and everything else and the stuff they keep track of, it hasn't been easy to find somebody willing to do that. I think they do have somebody. I'm not sure for certain yet. I've seen Nancy walking around with one of the other ones, so they maybe have convinced somebody to do it. I'm not sure. But I have not gotten any sales figures from her for either July or August. I know they did, very well. I know anecdotally, I would ask a couple of times, how the sales went at any particular time, even in the hot summertime, and it is true. But the sales were going well. So I think they did very well. They also do very well still down at the, booth that they have on, Books on the Alley, they call it, down on Ramcat Alley. So as I say, the sales are successful, but they are in transition right now. So Nancy hasn't put out her regular report to them and to me like she does. So if I get those figures at any point in time soon, I can go ahead and amend them in the background and have them added. Or I can just have them for you next time, and I'll just say this figures for, however long, July or September, October, whatever. But yeah, at the moment, I don't have sales figures because of this transition. And that's, I will say, while we are on the Friends report, I did speak with Jason Neal, who's the head of facilities maintenance. He talked to this guy that came over and did the initial assessment on the outlets. The outlets are on their list of things to do, but they've been working on fire stations, getting some retrofitting done for fire stations, some that are transitioning from county to city, and so they're getting those buildings ready and that kind of stuff. And that's been a little bit higher priority for them, especially since they've been shorthanded. They've had people out and all, than getting to our outlets. So he's confirmed that it is still on their, agenda to get done, but it's when they get to it.
So maintenance does know about the outlets.
That's
then.
correct.
Okay.
And I did try to speak, while we're on the subject, I did try to speak with Mr. Reed, but I didn't get a hold of him today, so I will continue to try to get in touch with him.
I did not see any committee reports. Does anyone have anything? Okay. And then the chair's report, we've already done that, and so we are on to the director's report.
Okay, director's report, and I will keep this brief. Just wanted to mention to you all, I had been out of town last week. I was able to attend, as well as Kayla, our Salem manager, was also able to attend the Association of Rural and Small Libraries Conference out in Albuquerque, New Mexico. That was last Wednesday through Saturday. So I've been out of town. We left Tuesday and got back yesterday. And so this, the national conferences, honestly, this is the one that libraries of our size and scale, though we are bigger, honestly, as a sort of mid-sized library in South Carolina with 32 employees and a $1.7 million budget, we're probably bigger than a lot of the attendees there. But we are rural, and it's always a good conference to get ideas and things that are truly, I can either scale them up or scale them down when I bring them back. If it's an idea that a very small library had, we can carry it out to perhaps a slightly bigger scale. If it's an idea that a larger system had, maybe in one of the mid-sized cities or something, we can scale it down. So out of the national conferences, it's one that I think, and I've heard other people say that have attended ALA or have attended some of the other conferences, they say this is the one that you really get the most out of. And for libraries of our size and scope, and that we are in a rural county essentially, this is one that you're gonna get a lot out of. So I brought several ideas back, some dealing with programming, some dealing with administration that we'll probably, I'll be bringing before you all in the near future if we need to make any policy changes, or some of them will affect the strategic plan, which we will talk about shortly. So that was a very good trip. As I mentioned, I did speak to Jason about the outlets. Also, Carrie Lieber Brock and Amy Saylor, our library resource person and resource associate, will be attending. This is the first live social workers in libraries, Library Social Workers Conference. That's going to be down in Columbia, October 1st and 2nd, and they will be attending that. That's the director.
All right, next on to old business. Number one, continued discussion of updating the library strategic plan.
Okay, as I mentioned in our July meeting, I was gonna bring this back to you. We are currently conducting a survey both online and in person on paper. And we've got about 120 responses in both online, I think 80-something maybe online, and then, so 120 total, or I think 119, but we're rounding up a bit. We've got a few more today in from Seneca, even on paper form. So we are gonna collect those through the month, National Library Card Sign-Up Month. We're gonna collect those through the end of the month. And then I will have, basically a synopsis of them or a summary of them. You all probably don't wanna read through every comment, but, I'll have a synopsis of it for you to send out, so that then we'll go ahead and incorporate those ideas, comments, whatever, into the framework that we already have that I've presented to you all before. Then we'll bring a relatively complete plan to the November meeting for you, where I'll actually send it out in advance. If there's anything that you all see that you wanna add and that kind of thing, once you've had a chance to look at the synopsis, and once you had a chance to see sort of our draft, and then with the goal, hopefully, of passing a complete final plan at our November meeting. So the survey is currently underway. The results have been not unexpected, and then we got some pleasant comments and things like that in them. Obviously, some things we can always work on, particularly concerning like some of the facilities and that kind of stuff. We know there's places that we need to work. But yeah, good comments that we've gotten so far, and I think some good direction for us. Then we'll put that with what the staff had already come up with that you all have seen previously, And again, I'll send that out, but then the hope is that, you know, unless there's significant changes that you all want to make, the goal is to have a plan that you can vote on in November.
Okay, next would be, one thing before we go on from that, for the Community Relations Committee, when we were talking about the parent resources, so that we can put the onus back on the parents to, as far as reviewing the children's books, Blair had suggested we put that in the strategic plan, so that instead of having old school paper flyers, it'll be right there on the website. So that'll be something to look for in that. Okay, next would be update on the building projects.
Okay, and again, in addition to the problem there in Walhalla, I wanted to speak to Mr. Reed about the Seneca project, because I've not heard anything on it lately. Now, I know they get busy with, obviously, repairing the roads, and that's a priority and that kind of thing. I don't think they were intending to get to this until the fall anyway, when it cooled off a little bit and they can dig and do. You know, if it is gonna happen this year, we don't want them to get, I guess, at least started on it or have it down soon. But the meeting, at least, that I was supposed to have, unless he was able to go ahead and meet with Seneca himself and, you know, get that rolling. The meeting that we were gonna have with Seneca to just make sure, because we're kind of butting up against their right of way, if you'll remember from the diagrams that I had at a previous meeting, we're kind of butting the way that Kyle had it, and he has presented his idea to the real estate and land use, whatever that committee is for county council. But that he had already told them also, he was gonna go to Seneca and make sure that it was okay with them with this particular plan, if he had to scale it back a little bit, because they didn't want us quite so close to either the sidewalk there that's down at the base of the hill, in front of the library or whatever. So, to my knowledge, that, if he's had a meeting, it didn't include me, and the goal was to have one where he and I would meet with someone in Seneca administration, whether it was Mr. Mulder or whether it was, you know, whoever does their planning. So that meeting has not happened yet, but when I get in touch with him about the Walhalla problem, I'm also gonna ask him, you know, when, you know, we have a chance to go get this done or whatever. So hopefully we can bring it back before county council, they'll make sure that it's okay, and then, you know, we'll at least have a timeline, because right now we still are kind of in limbo. But hopefully we'll have a timeline of when this gets done, and if it has to wait until next spring because of weather and all, fine, but, you know, hopefully they can get it done. I mean, you can pretty much do concrete anytime, asphalt you can't do when it's really cold, that kind of thing, so, I don't know if it's possible to get it done now that we are, but, I mean, we're right here at the beginning of fall. I don't know if they could get to it maybe in November, depending on how long it takes to get it on agendas and, you know, all that sort of thing. So that one is still sort of in limbo. We are, I wouldn't say it's a big project necessarily, but, given, I mentioned in my, written report to you all that we are experiencing some, HVAC issues at the Walhalla branch. And so, at some point in the somewhat near future, I'm gonna need to approach, Mr. Neal and Ms. Brock and find out if, I mean, I don't know if that's just something they can keep on doing preventive maintenance for a while on them, if that's something where we need to start, if they have other buildings in the county, if they're looking at maybe doing another energy grant or that kind of thing, but I feel like we're kind of at that point where we need to start talking about what is the end goal, what is the end of life for these things look like. So, I will be going to them soon, and find out. The one that they're gonna work on, again, it's the same thing, they haven't gotten to our outlets either, they're gonna have to get a lift to work on the one that controls that new conference room at our Walhalla branch. So until they can get a lift and have time to get out there and trace that leak down, that room is also a little warm. They haven't had a chance to look at that yet, so just a couple of projects that we're working on, smaller scale, and then, you know, down the road, we'd still like to get some work done at our Seneca branch. In addition to the, parking, solving the handicap problem. We'd like to maybe get a little bit of work inside done, even if it's simple. One of the things that we had seen, just as a sort of coming to preview upcoming attractions. One of the things that we had seen in the survey is wanting to kind of spruce up and make the children's area at our Seneca branch look a little nicer. You know, Seneca's our oldest building. It's also the one with the highest foot traffic, but a lot of it is just come in, pick up a hole, leave, that kind of thing. And so, but there were a couple of people that had made comments about, I mean, nothing bad, they're very complimentary of the staff and that kind of thing. Just older building with older facility, and the children's area there is not as cute and pretty and inviting as it is, say, at our Westminster or Walhalla branches. So I think we're gonna be working with Emily Whitmire, or Emily Sluter too, and also Emily Johnson, our new youth services librarian, to see what we can do to kind of get maybe some new furniture, get it spruced up a little bit, so you'll be hearing more about that soon. We may take some of that out of the Nels money, that gift money that we have, and so we'll be coming back to y'all and let you know what's happening with that.
Okay. And on to new business. First is discuss and vote on the expansion of the child safety policy.
All right, and I sent this out to you all ahead of time, so hopefully you've had a chance to look at it. I do have it here on the screen. And what we're doing is simply taking things that were sort of various elements. When Emily Johnson started and had a chance to kind of look at, again, some of our areas and that kind of stuff, and have a chance to sort of get, you know, so that she knows what's going on and has done some story times, has done some programs. She wanted to include a couple of things as well. So what we did, we took where we had elements in community relations and just in the code of conduct and that kind of thing, and we put them into an actual group policy. Again, I took this from, I went ahead and consulted a couple other libraries on this one, in addition to incorporating some of the ideas from Emily Johnson. Also looked at Henderson County, North Carolina, and Pickens County, South Carolina. So what we did was we just took it and put it in one place. This will not supersede anything that is in the code of conduct. That wording will just stay in there. But what we did is go ahead and come up with sort of a cohesive policy that, as I mentioned here, will have its own section under services. It'll be sort of the last thing in that section. And this will put it all kind of in one place. So this is really not, other than some of the things there towards the bottom about no throwing of toys, books, instruments, and other, no hitting, shoving. Other than that, pretty much this is what we've already had. We just sort of restated it and put it all in one place.
Does anybody have any comments?
I had a question. In the last bullet, it says children of any age, so on and so forth. And I noticed in the previous one, it said vulnerable adults, and I was wondering if you're trying to capture them in that language.
Okay, say that again.
So the last bullet says children of any age with mental, physical, or emotional disabilities. You use the
Okay.
term children there, whereas in the previous, you also include vulnerable adults. So I want to know what your intent there. Should it be that people of any age, are you trying to include those that are not children in that statement as well?
Well, I think what that was trying to clarify, and maybe I needed to change the language of the other one to make it sort of match, I suppose. But since children, children over 12 can use the library unaccompanied, I guess that was just trying to capture that, hey, you can't let a 16 or 17-year-old child in there that's gonna have issues or cause a disruption or whatever. They do have to be supervised.
Okay, so you do want children, minors?
That's correct.
Okay,
That's
just one clarification, thank you.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion.
Okay. All those who say aye?
hold on, Vicky, motion, who was my
Mandy,
second?
Mandy,
Judy?
no, Mandy.
Mandy, okay.
It's unanimous approve. Okay, on to discuss the vote on the changes to the meeting room policy.
Okay.
Does anybody have any comments? Okay, well, I have one.
Go ahead.
All right, number two, I wanted to just, I was gonna suggest striking that and then just adding, because it's just cumbersome. And put seek to activities using the meeting room should seek to educate and edify the community. Just leave it at that. Instead of,
Instead of number two.
number two, yes. So under meeting
Sounds
rooms,
easier.
in all red, number two. I talked about maybe rewriting that a little bit, but it really, and just leave it to the discretion of the director and the different heads at the different libraries, the different managers.
And I think as you and I discussed, because of the preamble up there that says, makes its meeting rooms available to local community organizations or groups devoted to educational, cultural, or community welfare activities under nonprofit and non-sectarian. I think the purpose of number two, my hope was just to maybe flesh that out, but I think two got, and I took that, these particular, changes I did take from so my source material for that was the Greenville County Library, the Spartanburg County Library, and the Anderson County Library. I think I took that one straight out of Anderson's, but it can also just be stricken.
Right, because even at the beginning there, my beef originally was the non-sectarian sponsorship, but it does say sponsorship, so somebody, a sectarian private meeting or something that would still qualify under that. We're just talking, you can't bring in partisan parties, you know, they have to go find their own place to meet. So, but I think leaving it in your, well, I don't think we need to put educate and edify either, because you've set that up
Up front.
above.
Yeah.
So just maybe
So just
strike
strike
that. Does
number two.
anybody
Yeah.
disagree with that?
I'm just wondering, do your staff need more guidance?
No, it's not really the staff, it's more of just making sure that we've got something to back us up. We've been pretty successful in keeping out, and I mean, it's not like we want everyone to use that room, but like, we don't want it for commercial purposes. We don't want somebody in there selling
Right.
something. That's
Right.
not what
Rifle
it's for.
round.
Right,
Right.
You know,
right.
taxpayers of Oconee County don't wanna pay so somebody can have a free room
Right.
when they should go to like a local hotel or local convention center or whatever to
Right.
do that.
Correct.
Staff is pretty up on that. Just every once in a
The
great
public.
while, we get somebody that tries to slip through the cracks. And so the hope here was just to have something a little more clear in policy rather than as Kim mentions, director, you know. And I can fall back on, as I said, the preamble where it's, you know, nonprofit, non-sectarian, whatever. So the purpose of two, as awkward as it ended up being, and I think I pulled that straight from Anderson County, was just to try and make sure that people understood, okay, it's not, you know, commercial, it's not, even if you're gonna do training, like, it's okay to do training which would benefit the public, because the meeting room is also supposed to be open to the public, but just not, like, you can't, like, Waffle House can't have their, that one did slip through the cracks, but Waffle House can't have their recruiting and training. We ended up doing that at our Wahal branch, because that one sort of slipped through the cracks, they were a little bit, I won't say dishonest, they just didn't really explain all what they were wanting it for. And so that was the only purpose behind that in number two, was just to try to, I don't think it's a staff issue, I think it's more of a staff
Public
just
awareness.
wanting to make sure that they have like solid backup.
Yeah, and I agree, these days having a very clear policy that you can say this, not that, is important. So I don't like the idea of striking it, but I too thought it was really wordy, particularly the second sentence, I think could just say businesses that are training employees may meet.
Or maybe, the thing that really bothered me was the idea or belief. So if we say business or partisan political groups which seek to promote a product or person to the general public. Because we're really getting into 1A with the idea and belief thing. That's gonna cross out somebody wants to have a vegan educational thing. That's an idea, right, to be a vegan. So, I mean, there's just so many ways that could be, applied.
Well, if I can suggest, what we may wanna do then is go ahead and strike it for now. Let you all pass the amended version, but then we will seek to find
Flesh it out.
something that's less wordy and more straight to the point, just to clarify that, and I can bring that back to you all at the November meeting.
Yeah, if that's meant like political ideology, or again, reading the context there, I agree with idea and belief are very, that does leave it very vague.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay, well, we'll go ahead then, I'll make a motion to approve
I have
the,
one other item.
oh, go ahead, I'm sorry, no, please.
I have one too.
Okay. Oh, that's right.
Let's see, in number 19, where it says walk-ins, can have it for up to 2 hours, and then, that they can, sorry, I lost it. May continue to use the space, blah, blah, blah. Basically, I was wondering, is that unlimited use as long as no one's waiting? Or are they also limited to like the 4 hours? The way it reads, reads as long as no one else is waiting, they could use it the entire time we're open. So I just want to make sure if that was the intent.
Okay, under 10, it says reserved or walk-in use may not exceed 4 hours per day per individual or group.
Okay, I did.
So all that's doing is saying, look, for a walk-in, you get 2 hours. You could have I mean, I guess we could reword it to say you could have up to two more additional hours, but I mean, since it's already been stated, that's.
I did miss it previously, but it might make sense to even repeat it then, maybe used by the same individual or group up to 4 hours if it's not, blah, blah, you know.
Okay, I mean, we can restate that if you want to.
Anybody have any comments on that?
Oh, on that?
On that
No,
particular one,
no,
yeah.
not-
Do
no,
we
not
need to
that
rewrite
particular.
that? Is it okay now that you've seen the 4 hours, or what do you think?
Yeah. I like what you said, though, just add next to that, for the same individual or group, maybe in parentheses, up to 4 hours.
Right,
If
just,
it is-
just a repeat there,
I think
because
so.
in reading it, I had missed it up there, and when I was thinking, okay, if I can renew it, you know.
Yeah.
So does that mean if somebody walks in, they could have it 4 hours, but let's say somebody comes in 2 hours later, they can't?
If nobody comes in, they can have it another.
If no-
They have it at 2 hours at first, it can be renewed another 2 hours.
If no one else.
Right,
Gotcha.
right.
All right, that works.
Yeah. That makes it more clear.
I think so.
I do
Just
too.
put that in parentheses there.
I think so.
And then I'm done with my comments.
2 hours, 2 to 4 if there's no,
We had
The way
the
I'll-
same individual or
The
group.
way I'll reword that is
Parentheses,
available on
up
a
to
first come,
4
first served
hours.
basis for up to 2 hours. Assigned space may continue to be used by the same individual or group if it's not needed to accommodate another walk-in user or library staff
right
use.
here.
And then in parentheses, up to the 4 hour limit.
Yes.
Sure.
That works
That
too.
works
Yep.
too. Okay. All right, and then Judy?
Mine was number 18, as far as book signing by the authors, and using the room to sell that book is done at the discretion of the library board or the library director. I didn't like that any that are sponsored by the Friends of the Library, they're gonna be allowed. I think it needs to take that out and stop that any author wanting to do a signing and sell their book should be approved by you or the board. I think as far as, and y'all can tell me if I'm wrong, when I read that, I thought that's giving special treatment to Friends of the Library. And they do a lot, but all of this is tax money. I don't think we should be giving one group you can bring in whoever you want, because you raised money for us. I could be wrong, you tell me if I'm wrong, but that's just that's what I got when I read that.
I will say, again, the things in red were the changes
Right.
from previous policies. So that's been in the policy for, I guess, a long time. That is certainly no change from what we have in
I
our
can't
existing
see,
policy now.
I can't see 18 in red
Oh,
on
I'm
mine.
sorry.
It's not in red.
It's in black.
It's not,
18's in black, there's
it's not
nothing
a
red.
change.
No, I understand your point. I'm not.
So it's not
I'm
a change at all, is what you're saying?
I'm not,
Right.
disputing what you're saying. All I'm saying is we didn't make a change to that.
Gotcha,
That's the
gotcha.
way the policy has been for
But
a
I'm
while.
new,
I think
so
that was
this is
set
the
up
first time I've seen
a long
this.
time ago because the Friends did oftentimes get an author to come in. And I think it was just, look, anytime the Friends get somebody scheduled to be in there, those will be allowed so that you didn't have, a branch manager saying, oh, well, no, we can't do this or that, or maybe the director and the Friends didn't get along. I mean, I don't know why that's in there, but I mean, that's existing policy. So y'all are certainly welcome to change it, obviously, but that's existing policy.
So if we mark that out, they would just have to come to you or
The board.
the
Right,
board.
the discretion.
But it's at the discretion of, would that cause you additional work to just approve who they suggested? If we did strike any that are sponsored by the Friends will be allowed, would that cause you any extra?
I don't think it doesn't.
How
really
often
change.
does it happen? How often do you have authors?
We
that-
haven't had as many, probably in the last several years, particularly since COVID, I don't think we've had near as many. I've had, when we did that Land Before the Water series, we did have, I don't remember, I guess he sold books. We had Ron Rash in that, I'm pretty sure he sold some books. And we had another, forgive me, I can't remember her name, but we had a lady that came as a part of that same series. And I think she sold some books. It's been a while. I mean, it's been a while since we've done different authors and things. I've been approached with some authors that would like to have a book signing in there, that kind of thing. So I mean, it's obviously still relevant, but I mean, we haven't had anybody in a while.
I guess the way I, just seeing that for the first time, when other people's money is paying for something, I don't want it to ever look like we're giving favoritism to one group over another.
Yeah.
When all of this is taxpayers' money. And when I read that, I went, even though I love Friends of Library and they do an amazing, amazing job and really appreciate them, to me that was like, whoa, wait a minute. They could bring in anybody, and it's in the rules that they can. So don't take, I don't want it to be taken that I don't like Friends of Library, because I
kind of
do.
think part of that too was also the fact that, like, you could have an author come in and that's fine and, want to sell some books and whatever, but I think, like, it would be very hard for the library to pay an author to come to speak. And then that's when Friends would come in, because if we had an author that wanted, like, a
Gotcha.
speaking fee and then want to be able to sell books, I'd have to go to the
Gotcha.
Friends for that.
Gotcha.
So then I think the intention was
Gotcha,
there was,
okay.
if they're gonna spend money, we
Gotcha.
know theirs are allowed.
Gotcha.
I think that was the intent behind
Gotcha.
that. I can't 100% guarantee that. I believe that was passed a long time, probably before my time in the library system. So I have a feeling the spirit of that was if the Friends are gonna sponsor it and pay money for it,
Pay for
whatever,
it, then they can.
those
Gotcha.
are allowed.
So we
It's up
pay.
to, whatever you all think.
We don't pay.
Oh. Do we have to actually pay
Not all the
an
time.
author to sell
Not
the
all the
books?
time. I mean, there are certain authors that would want some money up front to come. Either they're fairly local and they just get an honorarium, or they have to come some distance, which, I mean, we can't afford that. That's not us. That's more like Clemson University or Anderson, County or Spartanburg County. They'll pay an author to come. I mean, they get some of the bigger ones. We could, I suppose, but again, if we did, I would be using Friends money for that.
Well, if there hadn't been any problems, then just leave it the way it is, since it's been in existence from the beginning.
No, I do agree, though, for consistency, that we should probably strike that. Just say it's all
Okay.
approved by the library director.
So
Just-
I agree, I
You're the
think,
board, that's up
I
to you.
think it leaves the authority with the board and the director and
Yes.
less,
I agree.
less leeway
Yeah.
for whatever.
Yeah,
Right.
Judy, I think it's a good concern.
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
too.
I tried to,
Yeah.
it's not, well, it is all of our money, because we're
but
all
you're right.
taxpayers, but I just try to, when you're using other people's money, you have to be good stewards of it.
Right, that's right.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay,
All
so we'll
right.
just strike that.
Does anyone else have, so we'll strike after, leave it at the discretion of the library board and/or the library director. Does anyone else have anything, any more comments or changes to the policy? So what I have is, the last we just discussed, that up to 4 hours at the end of that one, and then we're going to just strike number 2, and we'll look again at that in November. Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the note?
I think in this case, you might want, since this was what was presented to you, you might want to take a vote to amend.
Okay,
And I know that sounds ridiculous, but take a
Nope,
vote
it's
to
okay.
amend and then a vote to pass the amended.
Okay.
so vote to amend the meeting room policy, taking out number 2 to take another look at in November. Number 18, we would strike after the second sentence would be stricken. And then number 19, we would add up to 4 hours if no one, if the room is not needed. So does anybody want to make a motion to amend? Second?
Second,
Okay. And motion to approve
oh, you're asking us to vote on,
and
To
second.
vote.
Oh, not a vote yet. We're gonna, we have a motion to approve as written, as amended.
No,
No,
did
you
you
have
get a
to
vote on
A
the?
vote on the
Amend.
amendments.
Yes.
Yeah, vote on the amendment
So we can just
next.
vote?
No,
We're
ask-
voting on the amendments and then we vote on the whole thing.
Then
ask
we
us,
have to do
ask us to vote
Oh, right.
to
right, right,
amend.
okay. All right, so do we have a
The
vote?
amendments.
Who is, we have a vote for the amendments to the meeting room policy. All
Good
aye?
job.
Okay. All right, now I make a motion to approve the meeting room policy as amended.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? None opposed.
Good job.
All right, there is no executive session for this meeting, and so all we need is a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?